A major patch update is on the way, space station creation is unlocked for Starfield, a community patch is there to fix many of the problems with the game, and much more. All of this is news for this week in From the Field. Right, so you may have noticed a slightly different format to this video. That's because it is the first video in a new series that is dedicated to all things in and around Starfield. That means official news, mods, community events, and much more. Hopefully you'll find these videos useful and interesting, and for those of you who have been following the channel for a while now, you may even notice a few callbacks to an older series. Okay, so let's move on. Late last week, Bethesda announced the next major patch for Starfield. This is going to bring a highly desired feature that people have been requesting since way before the game launched, namely NVIDIA DLSS support. What's more, the update is going to be bringing frame generation support, which is going to be great for those players who have access to NVIDIA 4000 series GPUs. Another addition is going to be HDR controls, and well, arguably that should have been in for day one, but nonetheless it's on its way. Bethesda also state that the patch will be bringing further optimizations and improvements to Starfield. So all of this should be pretty good news for those people who have been concerned overall with the game's performance. Now, initially, the patch is going to be available only via Steam Beta. That means players will have to opt into the beta through the Steam client. Once there's been some testing going on, Bethesda will release the update to the full audience, both for PC and Xbox players. And of course, obviously, the DLSS support as well as the frame generation support is going to be PC only. That's not going to be an Xbox thing, although hopefully the optimizations and improvements are going to help with the Xbox anyway. Also, Bethesda have confirmed that they're going to be bringing AMD FSR3 support in a further update a little bit later down the line. Okay, moving on to the next news, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video or finding it useful, please do like and subscribe. It really does help both the video and the channel immensely. In community related news then, we've just been shared one of the, perhaps most impressive outposts we've seen so far. It's called My Paradiso Outpost, and it took 340 hours to construct, or at least after 340 hours worth of gameplay. The video was posted by Redditor Malware Maestro. Now, I've included a few clips of the Outpost tour on the screen right here, but for the full video I highly recommend you check out the Reddit post where you can see a full 3-minute and 40-second video. This really is a truly beautiful outpost, both in terms of the living space here as well as the stunning views that can be seen through the, overwhelming use of glass canopies and windows. I've got to say actually that at this point it really does feel that Bethesda should enable the option to upload and download these outposts, that you should really be able to share them for other players to use. That would be a really nice feature, I do feel. Let me know what you think about that. Still on the subject of outposts for a little bit longer, this time extending those outposts up into space with the ability to create space stations. This has been enabled by a mod available on Nexus Mods. The mod itself was created by Vex the Collector. Now what it enables you to do is create a space station, something we can't do just yet. Although interestingly, Vex did point out in his post over on Nexus Mods that most of the code is already included in the game, so it seems that this was either a cut feature that Bethesda initially wanted to include, or just perhaps is a feature they want to include further down the line. Either way, the mod enables it right now, although there are a few caveats to this. Firstly, it needs to be connected to an existing outpost, so basically you need to build an outpost and then go to the miscellaneous section and use the option to create a space station control pad. You'll then need to go through a few additional steps before you get the option to modify space station. Now here comes the second caveat. What happens next is that the newest ship, the ship you've most recently obtained, will become your space station. Essentially, you'll be able to use that as a foundational template to build your station around. So yeah, a few steps there, a few caveats, but nonetheless, it is finally the option to build a space station. If this is something you're interested in, do check out that link in the video description. Now, as people have been saying for years at this point, Starfield was destined to release in a buggy state. But to be fair, it was perhaps one of the least buggiest Bethesda games ever to be released. That said, it does still contain a fair few problems. Now, many long-time Bethesda fans will be aware that, well, when it comes to this type of thing, eventually the community steps in with some massive community patches that fix a lot of the issues. Well, the same is happening now with a project called the Starfield Community Patch project. It's a team who are coming together to fix many of the minor and some of the larger problems that the game actually has. So the scope of the patch isn't to add new content or change the balance of things overall, or create any tweaks that aren't in keeping with the original vision for the game. Instead, the scope is far more laser focused, and the list on their website includes these things: misplaced objects, script errors, inconsistencies in item properties, faulty mission quests, game-breaking exploits, mission attributes such as tags, headers, flags, etc., and spelling errors. So very clearly, the aim of the project is not to change Starfield into anything other than what it is right now, but rather to tidy it up, fix it, and make it much more presentable. It's a laudable goal, and one which sounds as though it's going to be going on for many months, maybe even many years to come. If then this sounds of any use to you, do check out those links in the video description. So that brings us to an end of the news for this week, but don't disappear just yet. Do check out those videos on the screen right here, where there's plenty of other things you can take a look at.